Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else listening, welcome back to Commissions Open Season 2. Character design for the set by Doida Flower on Twitter. Promotional art by Andromeda_Snow on Twitter. Icon created by Shy Starfall. Commissions Open logo created by Melodic Scavenger. And tonight's guest, the comic creator behind Vamp Sabbath and the lead character designer behind the web series Battle of the Bands, it's Drunkenfist. And here's your host, Doc Conrad. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Commissions Open, an interview podcast all about art in the digital age. Here you can hear the processes, stories, and lives of talented artists, voice actors, video creators, editors, musicians, and many other talented creators in the era of online work. I am your host, Doc Conrad, and today I am joined by the wonderful Drunkenfist, aka Max. Hello, Max. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's been like I told you before we started recording, this is my first one in probably in a few months now at this point. And I'm so glad that you were so willing to go ahead and be a part of this. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, I love doing interviews.
So how is it that you would best describe yourself to an audience who doesn't know who you are? How would you best describe yourself involved with the work that you do and who you are?
I could say I am mainly a graphic artist, a digital artist. I basically make concept art for video games, but I also in my free time work on comics and freelance work and any other thing that people like request me to do. But this basically, yes, I am a how do you say, like kind of like a pre-production artist in the media of video games and stuff like that.
All right. Is there any specific like video games that you know that like either have been released or I'm guessing they're mostly independent games that you've worked on, at least for helping with concept art. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually there have been like big name video games I've worked on, like Plants vs. Zombies, and there's this other one game called Agents of Mayhem that I worked with because I work in this how do you call this, enterprise, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's a how do you say this thing? I'm sorry. It's I'm sorry. I'm trying to think the word of it. It's basically a studio that works for like independently, but takes work from bigger studios. I don't know how do you call that in English.
Yeah.
But basically, when big studios need like a little bit of help, they request help and hire other little studios so they can get some works done for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I do in this studio I work on. I work, I'm situated in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico, which is in the northern part of Mexico. I'm actually pretty close to the border.
Mm-hmm.
But the headquarters of this studio are set on Austin, Texas, right? So basically, I get work from basically anything. I've worked from The Sims to how do you say, Plants vs. Zombies and some other games. Actually, my studio also works not only in the 2D part of in the 2D department, they also work in the 3D department, and they do some work for Blizzard. They have worked stuff also for how do you say this? I forget sometimes. I'm sorry, because I'm not always involved in the 3D parts of it. Oh, I've also worked for EA games, like such as NFL stuff and FIFA. But it's not the thing I love to do the most. It's just like regular office work I get to do, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, like those are involved with like the main section of work that you do. Like nearly your day job is mostly involved with that art, and it's still a passion for you at the same time, involved with your web comic.
Yes, I like doing that. I like doing that very much so. But I think what I'm very, very passionate about is just having my free day or my free time off to work on my comics and other stuff, such as like designing characters for other stuff. Like right now, I guess it's not a secret anymore because the showrunner has been posting it about it like a lot. I'm working as a how do you say, the lead character design for an upcoming pilot called Battle of the Bands.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pilot, like I believe a 10-minute pilot, um, animated, by the way, of course. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on that, and I also worked last month. I worked designing characters for an illustrated book here in Mexico. So yeah, it's whatever comes, I take, honestly. But I'm very passionate about I'm most passionate about drawing my own comic and telling my own stories.
You've clearly not only done a lot of work involved with inside the industry, but your own work involved with like your passion projects and that which you've done yourself. And you said yourself you've done a lot of freelance work involved, not just from taking these like big name studios and helping out with their work, but also doing your own independent work. And I think we'll definitely go ahead and get into that a bit further. But I'd love to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and hear more about how you first got into not only art itself, but first off, art itself and how it is you found your love and passion for for this work, and then eventually how is it that you got into this sphere of game creation in general involved with concept art. I'd love to hear about that.
Right. Well, I first started drawing when I was very little, when I was like 3 years old. I've always felt passionate about art. I think it's one of the things that you could say it's one of the things that I think I do the best.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, I'm just going to stick to this one thing I do good because I was never a sports kid or a math kid or anything like that. So I was like, oh, I kind of draw okay, so I'm just going to stick to that. Um, and it all skyrocketed when the internet became a thing, because maybe my voice doesn't sound like it, but I'm 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there when DeviantArt first came around the corner, and the first thing I did, of course, was create myself an account there and post my scanned Crayola drawings, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very, very. I think I felt very in love with the community because, of course, I didn't have any sort of community when I was like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. Most of my classmates didn't even draw. I was the odd one out to say something, right? So when I found this online community of people that liked what I liked to do, of course, was very endearing to me, and of course I felt super obsessed with posting my art all the time, right? So I made friends, and I learned from a lot of people. I even had the chance to send notes to people I really admired, such as some colorists from Marvel, which one of the colorists that work well, I mean, there are a lot of colorists, of course, but one
Mm-hmm.
of them um lives in my same city, right? And actually he was kind of like friends with my cousin, but I could never see him. Like I never had the chance to meet him, so I sent him a note over DeviantArt and I said, hey, I absolutely adore your work. I'm a fan. I was like 13, 14 years old when this
Mm-hmm.
happened. And right now, it's funny because this dude is my friend now, and it's just baffling to me. Like, wow, how far we've come. But yeah, the internet plays a big part, a big role in how I developed as an artist. As an artist, not artist. I'm not a lot of people. Uh, so yeah, and I hopped from website to website as they went by, DeviantArt, and then I hopped into another little one called Tadaki, which was like a vlogging site, in which you couldn't like really type, but you had to draw. So I went around in that little place where I made comics and I role played like drawings with people. You created your own characters and made up stories with others. The whole sense of community really, really made me very welcomed and very inspired to create more. And then I hopped into Tumblr, which was my first like hand in hand experience with fandoms, which also skyrocketed kind of like the popularity I had, which which was a great for me. I got to meet a lot of awesome people, thanks to Homestuck, actually.
Mm.
uh, I got to meet, Octopimp, and I got to meet a lot of cool artists, and also I got to Skype twice with Toby Fox, and it was great. It was crazy. I guess, I mean, I just felt very noticed, and it just made me. It kind of made me hungry for more. I was like, I want to be like a big artist like these people. So I kept on creating and creating, and it just felt right, and people were very well receiving what I created. And then I hopped into Twitter, Instagram, and well, it's a long story, and perhaps the next big website I will be in there too. So I think I've talked for a long time. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. This is what I want to hear. Just knowing that there's so many things I can go off with that. Are you kidding me? Like you've grown from an artist all the way from the age of 13 to being someone who is recognizing like amazing different artists and feeling like happy that you could be, to growing into one yourself. And I
Of
think
course.
that's a wonderful story for others to go and hear, especially because a lot of people like look up to other individuals and they don't realize like in some cases, like I'd say even a majority, like everyone's a fan of everyone's content they put on online, like
Uh-huh.
especially the bigger ones.
Of
And
course.
you being able to go ahead and meet those kinds of people is a great, I'm guessing, a great experience, and really helped like drive you further, like you stated.
Of course, yes. I just can't believe, like, there are so many things I like, especially about the online platforms we have right now. Is that I don't know. One day I posted some fan arts, some Gargoyles fan arts, because Gargoyles is one of my favorite cartoons of all times, and the creator Greg Weisman was like, "I like that." I'm like, "What? What the hell?" And I was like, "Eh." He even defended me from a hater. A hater was like, "Nah, I don't like them, blah blah blah," and he was like, shut up." And I was like, "Oh my god," he stepped in for me. But yeah, it's just great. And yeah, of course, what you say about little artists or people that are starting, and sometimes they get a little, how do you say this, like a little sad, a little down in the dumps, that they don't get recognized as quick. But what some of them don't realize is that some people, or some of the biggest people that have biggest numbers, I'm not saying I am one, because there's people that have huge numbers, and most of them just really had to make a path for that, and have been like, building that kind of following from years and years and years.
Mhm.
So yeah, of course, I'm not gonna say no, don't feel discouraged or something, because yeah, I mean, I guess numbers do play a big role in getting noticed, of course. But I think that most importantly is to have faith in your own work and have fun with it, and people will eventually notice.
Yeah. It's especially true with what you stated. I'm guessing the main thing that has helped you not only get recognized and involved within your personal work growing online, but also working inside of inside of your industry, has been the quality the quality of your work that you've created. I mean, you've got some amazing art, man. I just
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
yeah.
You see, when I started in the industry, I didn't think I was gonna get grabbed by this studio I'm talking to you about. Um, Mainly, I dropped out of art school. Actually, I
Mhm.
was majoring in graphic design, and I felt very terrible about it, because I just don't like graphic design. Like, I'm gonna be quite honest. So it just happened that in my fifth semester of graphic design, I decided to drop out, because one of the teachers just put the cherry on the top, saying I didn't actually draw my own work, but I stole it from the internet. And I was like, "How dare you tell this to me?" And she was like, "I'm not gonna believe you unless you show me all the editable files and the PSDs." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you." And I showed her, and she still like didn't pass me. And I was like, "What am I doing in this goddamn school?" I'm
Mhm.
sorry, can I curse?
No,
I'm not sure.
you're totally fine. You're totally fine to curse.
Okay, okay, yeah. So I was like, "What am I doing with my life? I'm just trying to appease some kind of teachers, and I'm not learning anything at all." Because what I wanted to study, of course, was animation, but um the only two schools that we had in animation here in Mexico are very expensive, and I didn't have that kind of money. Not even if I had like a tuition or something, it just didn't, it couldn't happen. So I just had to pave my way. I was like, I want to do what I want to do, and I'm gonna be good at it, and nobody's gonna stop me. And I was just like, I'm dropping out. I'm drawing comics. And my mom was like, "Are you sure about that?" I'm like, "Yes." And now, of course, my parents were like, "We're not so sure about that, but okay, do you, honey." And right now, I'm doing good. So after a year, I dropped out of school. A friend of mine that was already working in the studio told me, "Hey, send in your portfolio." And I was like, "I don't have any portfolio. What are you talking about?" And she was like, "Just send in your portfolio, okay?" So I did. I built up a portfolio, and they called me, and they had an interview. I had an interview with the whole concept art team, and they said, "Do you have your portfolio with you?" And I had this little USB drive, and I was like, "Sure." And I plugged it in, and there was nothing in it. And I was like, "Oh, sweats." So I was like, "Is it okay if I show you my DeviantArt page?" So they were like, "Sure." So I had a lot of like very weird things and fandom stuff that I didn't want to really show, but I had to anyway. So they were like, okay. And the one question that they asked me was, "Do you think you can do this kind of work?" And they showed me their own portfolio. And of course, it was like super, super more advanced than what I did. It was like, and my answer was like, "Yeah, I can do that." Of course, I couldn't do that, but I had to try. I was like, maybe I can't do that right now, but I will learn how to do it. And that's how I got hired for that studio, and I've been working on it for like 6 years already. And I've been working in a lot of different projects, which have been really challenging. Sometimes I've even had anxiety attacks because I sometimes don't think I can make it happen. I think I'm gonna screw it all up, but no, everything is it's all about learning, and luckily all my concept art team have been real angels to me, and they're all very patient, and they're amazing artists. And I think I've learned more than I could have learned in any school just about now. So yeah, that's how I got into the industry and working for like big name companies, and it's like amazing.
Yeah. I'm personally, I'm glad that you've made it past the initial need for going through college. As someone who has done something at least relatively similar, I previously, I'm currently not in college. I did a community college, so it's not something as much directly involved with like a 4 year or one that's more traditional. But I'm glad to hear that you incredibly you're incredibly successful in this regard, despite having that despite that being something that happened to you. Now I am a bit more curious as to the work that you've worked on, not only within the industry, but more about your work personally. Has it always been vampires, 80s music, and monsters, or is it or has there been like, have you had different phases of the art that which you've created? I'd love to go in here.
Okay, so I think most of the things I've drawn have always been not non-human things. I've always had like this special liking to things that aren't quite pretty or human. I'm just gonna throw this out here, and maybe it's TMI, but my first cartoon crush was Kabuterimon from Digimon, the huge bug monster, and I was like, that shit's hot. I like it. I want to. While everyone was crushing on Ty or Matt or all the kids, I was like, I just like that monster dude over there. And he was like, my friends were like, he has no face, and I'm like, what about that?
Just like, is that a problem?
Is that a problem? So yeah, I've always been drawn to like very non-humany creatures. Of course, the things I draw sometimes have like very human faces and stuff, but I always try to have them be kind of weird, So the first things I drew when I was a kid were dinosaurs and Pokemon, right? Pokemon was a big part of my artistic development, to say something. And of course, also I drew a lot of gorillas the band, not actual animals, gorillas. I
Let's
really
hope,
like
let's hope for a little bit of both. Bam.
yeah, like you like monkeys? Yeah, I love monkeys,
I
but
love monkeys too, but
yeah, well,
yeah.
they're so cute. But the gorillas were a big inspiration for me. I was like very I think it was like the turn of my art into a more mature thing, when I was like 14, 15, and I saw these characters in a band that were saying bad words and everything looked more grungy, but there were still cartoons. And that's when I realized, hey, cartoons can be like for adults too. So I kept on like having these spurts of like drawing anything, demons, angels, of course, monsters, dinosaurs, etc., etc. I had this big phase where I only drew gijinkas, which are like humanized things like Pokemon or Digimon. I love doing that because I love designing characters. So more than simply just drawing something that already existed, I just wanted to invent. I
Mhm.
wanted to make something up that could look like very appealing. And when
Yeah.
people started to say, "Wow, that's hot," and I was like, "Yeah, it's hot." So I felt like, "Yeah, good. Let's keep on doing this." So yeah,
Mhm.
I really like drawing. Anything that's maybe human but not quite. That's my
Mhm.
jam. Totally.
You said and stuff involved with Gajinkas. You said, do you
Huh?
feel like you said involved with like good? You said Gajinkas. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
term.
Kijinkas.
Is that mostly like? What is it about that makes it so appealing? Is it the idea that it gives you a base to work with and then giving the forms to make it from, or do you think it's like a
Yeah.
reinvention sort of thing? How do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's like having a base and also seeing how a lot of people interpret it in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you can leave your personal mark in every single thing you do. Like let's put an example here. You have Pikachu now. Gijinkify that shit. So people make like big titty girlfriends with like big chaps and then stuff. And then I'm doing like a rocker dude with like little Pika ears and a base like has Pika tail or something. And I think it's a reinterpretation, of course, but it has like a lot of your soul put into it because you can portray what you really like about whatever media you consume, and you transform it into this little base. Of course, you're never gonna you see Pikachu, and the least thing you think about is a like a big booby girl. You just think, oh, it's a little mouse Pokemon, but
when I
then someone does that.
When I first think of Pikachu, all I think of is huge tits. That's that.
Yeah,
That's
of
how.
course, yeah,
That's how.
yeah, totally.
No, no,
Well,
no.
that's a normal thing to think, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least on the internet. Yeah. Do you? Yeah. Speaking of, do you think that? Do you think that has been like uh, a major like influence on your art style? Not only from the art which you've seen like involved with like gorillas and stuff involving that. Do you think that the internet has influenced your artistic style more so than like uh, let's say like not even traditional art, not even like traditional art, and learning from that sort of way? I'm guessing you've been on off the beaten path, sort of involved with the way you've learned how to create art. You're not a typically traditionalist involved with the way that you draw. Would I be wrong in saying that?
No,
Or
no, no, totally. You're 100% correct because the more uh the more the internet has grown, of course, the more information has been like around. So I always learned from other artists. I'm not saying per se I copy like from everything they do, but I also I take a lot of inspiration from the artists I've met since day one in the internet. Like I had a friend from Colombia that drew amazing anime style, and I was like, I love how she makes eyes, for example. So I try to make my own version of those eyes, and I guess it's sort of this thing that when you get bombarded, I guess I don't know if that's the word,
Mhm.
but you get like thrown at you so many art styles and so many ways of doing things that uh, your brain is kind of like a sponge, especially when you're like younger. You just take a lot from that, and you get very influenced at everything you see and the people you meet.
Mhm.
And sometimes it just comes. without effort. Just, of course, you have to make an effort to learn, of course, right? But you just get so influenced that all these things that surround you, that it's just like you just, I don't know how to explain it, but of course the internet has played a big role in a lot of artists' lives, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the easiest way to get like so many arts, so many references, so many ways to learn and do things, you know?
Yeah.
They'll never know what I've been through. They don't know why I did it. They could imagine why I started, but never why I kept going. I have to thank them, really. Rage is really where I belong. The blood rush, what little I have left, keeps me swinging. I really should be practicing my swing, but who needs aim when any hit will do? I remember when it was about making them pay. Now everyone has a debt I should collect. Hey you, batter up.
Drunkenfist presents The Home Runner, rated R. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Middle Bit. I'm your host, Conrad, and let's get things started, shall we? If you didn't know from the last episode, I have been streaming live on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 10 p.m. EST, and Saturdays at a random point in time. If you are listening to this right now, in fact, later on today, I will be doing a stream. Not entirely sure what it's going to be on Saturday, but it's going to be a good one. I know that for certain. Have a lot of fun with those all the time. Having fun playing Minecraft, Among Us, all those sort of games. It's been quite a bit of fun playing games with fans and friends, people that I know, past guests of the podcast, and all that. So, if you want to go ahead and catch me live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 10 p.m. EST, that is twitch.tv/Dr. Conrad. Again, that is twitch.tv/Dr. Conrad. Also, I've been seeing a lot of support coming from some big fans of the podcast over the past few days, and it's been great to go ahead and see. I want to go ahead and get the ball rolling again, so if you want to go ahead and suggest this podcast to anyone that you think might enjoy it, please go ahead and do so. I'd love to go ahead and check it out, and if you're a fan of the show, feel free to go ahead and at me on Twitter at CommsOpenPodcast. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at CommsOpenPodcast, and you can go ahead and check me out there. Also, if you happen to be someone who's watching the podcast on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe and hit the like button. It would really help me out quite a bit. And if you're listening on whatever app you use, I would love it if you would go ahead and follow the podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcast, anything you want to go ahead and do, just go ahead and follow me there. That'd be amazing. And, yep. Alright, that looks like it's going to be it for the middle bit. You guys enjoy the rest of the interview. Take care. Alright, bye. I can definitely tell. I can definitely see that within your art, especially like and I'm guessing it helps quite a bit that you're very much online involved with, like, you know, you've not only are you posting your art online and you're getting feedback from others, and you're like seeing what other people see in your, at least your feed and timeline of their individual art styles, and you're seeing it from that regard. But I'm guessing there are also early inspirations involved, like you stated earlier, with like the gorillas and with Pokemon and all those different sort of media that you consumed when you were younger. Do you think that those let's talk about that specifically, involved, especially with your artwork, involved, like I'm looking at this image right now, recording days, your when you post on the 18th, it's basically a mashup of IRL and your drawn characters involved. I'm guessing photos taken by you, if that's
Yeah, that photo is totally taken by me in Psicofonia studio. That was the day we were recording for one of the comics albums, because we actually have some songs out there on Spotify for that comic specifically. So I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to take a picture and draw the characters in here as if they were like recording here with us? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of like a Gorillaz thing, right? Like that's what they did. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. So I don't know, it just felt cool, like if they were there, like treating them like real people, because the music is very real.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not?
Speaking of your comic, I think that'd be a good thing for us to go ahead and transfer into. Specifically about not only the characters but the start of it. I read earlier that you were planning for this comic to only last, like, this is going to be at max 2 years, and you've like extended it further on, and you've made it how long has it been? Has it been 2 years at this point, and you're not even, you don't feel like you've finished the story yet? Or how do you feel, how long has it been?
I fooled myself telling myself that it will last 2 years, because I thought I was gonna finish it quickly, but no, it just so happens that making a comic is pain, but it is very gratifying too. I think that from now, probably it's gonna be like 3 more years until the comic finally reaches its end, and that's if I don't get like super busy with other kind of work, because right now I had to pause it for a month, work on this pilot, and right now, of course, I have a lot of written stuff. I know how the story is gonna end. I know where it's gonna go, but to put it into paper, that's another story.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess every time you set a date for you to finish something, you're fooling yourself. You're telling you dirty lies, and yeah.
So, what initially came? Well, do you think you have any specific inspirations for this specific comic, Vamp Sabbath? Because I would love to hear all about it, like the character creation process, how you came up with the story, everything, as much as you're willing to tell.
Well, first off, I absolutely adore vampires. I think they're very cool creatures, but not the ones that shine with the light of day, but the ones that we had before, like around the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, which are, the movies like The Lost Boys and Interview with the Vampire, and Rises of Vampires are amazing too. I've always liked this kind of stories of the damned, the creatures that lurk in the shadows and cannot see the light of day. I've also really liked, 80s, 90s music. I think it just portrays the human emotions so well. Well, more the 90s than the 80s. The 80s was just about girls, 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 and let's get fucked and let's get drugs. But the 90s and the 90s, the grungiest part of the 90s was more about feelings, right? But I still feel that there's a lot of soul into those songs and music, and it just feels like you're there when you listen to them. So it's just like a mix of those two, the supernatural, and how a simple soul, like a human soul, gets involved with all these things, and how the world can be a crazy place, and also a self-discovery story about who they are, even though they know they are human, and some of them know they're vampires. That does not define them, but they define what they do with their lives, and what they choose to do. That sounded like very Pokemon Mewtwo thing, but but it's real. It's quite real. So I forgot the question.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It honestly, you were answering it perfectly. It was mostly involved with your inspirations for Vamp Sabbath. So, I mean, you stating that it was mostly involved with the 80s and 90s music really that point of it like really got me caught me because I feel like that what was it the two the bands of Tristan himself reminds me mostly of like how you were stating, like how the 90s mostly felt like involved with and mostly involved with it being like more sentimental, involved with his work. I'm only like 3 chapters in because I was reading and catching up right before I got a chance to go ahead and call you. But I could definitely see that, like that is definitely what comes through initially. But
Right,
is that something you think?
Yeah, a much more emotional part of the music, and also um I had something in my head, but I forgot about it. I'm sorry. I was like, I was gonna compliment that, but no.
Mhm.
Well, anyways, yeah. Yeah, totally. It's like a smash, like like 80s metal meets 90s grunge. This big fight with how the other character, Logan, is a little bit more flashy and he's a little bit more out there and loud, while the other guy's just trying to go past his life. He's like, I just want to live, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very much like meeting, trying to get by versus living a life of luxury. And certain
exactly.
like doing things. He's doing things out of passion and necessity, while he's just doing things fully out of passion, I would
Of
say.
course.
Like
Yeah, like
he
one of
doesn't
them.
have to, but yeah. I'm sorry. What was
Uh-huh.
that?
One of them lives in the past, while the other lives like in the future all the time, which like Tristan is always like thinking about how what his past did to him, and how he suffers so much from the things that happened to him, while Logan is like, I just want to go this way. He doesn't look back. He never lives in the past. So it's kind of like that mixed emotions and mixed problems, and I don't know. I just go with it, and yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole point of the story. Like, it's just a self discovery story with vampires.
As it should be, as all
Naturally,
stories should be.
of
You're
course.
honestly a revolutionary for making a self discovery story about vampires. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
not.
Honestly,
But
like I honestly, like, I haven't seen this sort of thing capture my attention as well as your art specifically does, and I'm guessing that's the way in which you like portray your characters, especially like the ways in which like they appear to be, like sometimes even their nightmare sequences, or what some of the characters' nightmare sequences. That's when you really get to like share like the monstrous side that you're able to go ahead and like portray. And I don't know, just like your specific like way in which you draw, like especially thick lines and everything involved with that, really accentuates each and every character that you draw. I don't know, it's just your art's amazing. Just want to put
Thank
that out
you
there.
so much. Thank you. And one of the things that I like most about this kind of vampires is that, of course, they can be pretty and all, but they're also monsters. We have to remember that these beings are just like undead monsters. So that's what I really want to like people to remember when some characters transform, or we get to meet like characters that don't even look human, is that they're not all pretty and they have more than to their looks to tell.
Yeah, I could definitely go ahead and tell, especially with the way you've like portrayed some of your characters, like the way you can clearly tell that some of them have dealt with like emotional trouble, and the way that they cope with it is very different, and it also shows within the way that they are actually like monsters. Some of them try to avoid it as much as they can. Some of them like may like push things off to in other ways, and some of them like are literally shown to be like totally like different creatures than humans. but I can't honestly psychoanalyze it's like enough, because it basically fan theory crafting in front of the person who's made it, while I'm guessing is like oh, it's adorable what he's thinking. It feels okay. It feels especially like bad because I'm just like, oh, I could be totally wrong with this, but let me just tell you exactly how I think that their character's supposed to be. I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
No way. I love it. I love it when people like want to analyze whatever happens to the characters or what they're going through, because it has been like not even a week in time comic, in the comic time, and there's so much that has already been going on, and people are like, Max, but what's gonna happen? They have just met for like 4 days or something. Like, yeah, I know, what's up with that? It's crazy.
How you said that you've like created this story and you've gotten everything written out so far, and you're planning on keeping it very much the same, at least to this point. When is it that you first started the creation and writing process of your comic?
When was it that I started?
Well, not even that when you first like started making the first page. I'm talking about like creating the plot line of the story. Like, was there like how long did that portion of it take? Because I know the comic's still ongoing and creating, but how long did it take for you to write it out? Did you bang it out in a week and like, yep, this is what I'm going to dedicate the next 2 years of my life to? Or were you, or was it like, has this been a long, slow burn of things that you've created, like characters that you've made over the course of periods of time, and like things that you like, oh, I want to keep this for some time later, and then you made it? Or how is that gone?
Well, I think I'm gonna have a very disappointing answer, but the truth is that I didn't even spend a month thinking about this story, because my mind is very quick to think about things, and I spent about 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, writing stuff out and thinking about what if this, what if that, oh, let's put this here and there, blah, blah, blah. And it all just so happened because this is super stupid, and I'm sorry about this, but the character Tristan wasn't a thing. Like, he just existed just about a week or 2 weeks before I decided to make this comic, and he was just a little NPC I drew for a not safe for work piece. And he came out of that, and I was like, I like you. I'm going to use you for something. So yeah, he just came out of the blues, and also Vana came out of the blues, and I was like, I just, the thing is that I really like Logan as a character. He has been one of the, he is one of the oldest characters I have. So people always told me, Max, why don't you make a comic? And I was like, I just don't think I have what it takes to make a comic, And I never wanted to make it because I didn't think I was good enough, until one day I was like, but when am I ever going to be good enough? Like, I'm like, how artists, we kind of put ourselves down all the time, or most creators, like you never feel like you're good enough.
I've talked to plenty to know that is very much a thing. Yeah.
I mean, you can always have like a good self-esteem, but it's just inevitable how you can sometimes compare yourself to others, or see how some others are like advancing at a very much faster speed than you. Anyways, I just didn't want to start a comic because I didn't think I could do it, because I was afraid of, first and foremost, I was afraid of drawing backgrounds. I was like, I don't want to draw backgrounds because comics need backgrounds. So I'm not going to draw like characters standing in the blank. And so one day I said, hey, you're never going to be good enough, Max. Just fucking do it. You're going to turn 30 and then you're what? Are you going to finish your comic when you're like 19? Not to be ageist or whatever that word is. I mean, whoever can make whatever at whatever age, but I just wanted to make it quickly so I wouldn't like spend so much time on it, so I could move on into other things. Because you see, I have this, I guess it's a disorder. I'm very manic depressive, so sometimes I have periods in which I'm like, I don't want to do anything, but when I have my manic episodes, I want to do everything. So I'm like, I just want to get this thing done, and I want to show people and show myself, most importantly, that I can do this. I can do a comic and I can tell a story, and that was most important for me. Like, just convincing myself that I was gonna learn in the process, not before
Yeah.
the process, you know? And yeah, returning to the original question, sorry about that.
No, it's
I
fine.
took like I took like 2 weeks to write out the comic, and while I was drawing the first chapter, I kept on writing it. So it's still I'm still writing it. There are still things that need to be fixed and all, but the main plot is already done, and the way it ends, it's already done because I already wanted to have like the ending done, so I knew where was the goal and which was the goal, so I could achieve that. So I didn't pull I didn't pull a One Piece and never ended, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. So yeah, that's how it goes for me.
I think this has been so far a really good section of discussing your webcomic and the work that you've done not only in the industry but the work that you've done for yourself. Now we're getting to the point where we've talked a lot about your art and we've talked a lot about how it is you first got into it, but here's going to be mostly a weird curveball.
I love weird.
Here we go. Max, who are you?
Oh my god.
You love weird,
I thought
huh?
this was going to be an interview, not a psychoanalysis.
With this podcast, you get to have a little bit of the both worlds. It's
oh my god. Okay, so who am I? Well, I guess I'm a lost soul, to be completely honest. I just go through life living from the feeling that it gives me to create art and to tell stories for others. That's what motivates me the most about being myself and being who I am as a storyteller and I guess an illustrator. I don't know if I could call myself an artist. People call themselves an artist just for like the practical terms of it. But I guess it's just sometimes it feels like too big of a name to call myself like an artist. But at the end of the day, art is what people choose as art, not the artist. So whatever. So I guess I'm just a very lost and scared soul. Sometimes I don't know. It's hard to be me, but it's hard to be everyone too. Everybody has their own problems, and everybody has their own way of being. But I just chose to express who I am through my art and with my sense of humor, I guess, if I even have one. And just try to like see the good things everywhere because I know life can be a little bit overwhelming, especially when you're kind of like not kind of when you're especially when you're a minority because well for me being Hispanic and being trans it hasn't been hard. It has been hard for me. But I always try to look past that and just keep on working in my things, in my stuff, because that is who I want people to see in me. Wait, I didn't say that correctly. That is what I want people to see about me, not if I'm transitioning or I'm from a third world country or if I can't speak English correctly, of course. I just want them to see what I can make and of course also who I can be and I've always had mistakes in the past and when I was younger I was very rude, I was very loud, I was very disrespectful, but it's part of growing. Sometimes you're an edgy teenager and then you turn into an edgy 30-year-old, so what's up? I guess I guess it's all part of learning and I'm just Max, I guess.
Well, let me. I think we'll go ahead and finish up this interview with this. Max, I would like to go ahead and state that your talent involved not only within the creation of art, but how it is that you've created characters and everything involved with what you do is fantastic. I must say, like, there is so much that you have created and brought into this world that is a mix and match of styles and bringing not only yourself and your own culture, but who you are and your own personality into the world that you have created, involved not only with your personal comics, but the work that you've done, the work that you've done professionally. I can see it's nearly almost obvious that it's you involved with it. It's and that's one of the most important things to be. Earlier, you stated that you don't even know if you're an artist. You are definitely an artist to the fullest extent. The way in which you create characters, the way in which you have them explore the world around them, and the way in which you are able to storytell is fantastic. It's clearly you're clearly able to go ahead and do so. You made it incredible. Not success is not the only major factor in which it's like success is not the only major benefactor of which like is it not the only major marker, but it is the quality and the amount of effort that you put forth into that work each and every time you make it is what's most important. You've learned, I'm guessing, quite a bit from the point in which you first started to where you are today, and the trials and tribulations that you've lived up to this point in your life is honestly incredibly admirable from I would go ahead and say not even a hustle standpoint, but from a point of someone who is dedicated and motivated to continue to doing their work is amazing. I know that you've stated it earlier that you struggle with things involved, like you said. I don't want to get too much into it, but involved with like being manic depressive, and I know how hard that can actually be, involved with not having the correct amount of effort focused and pointed into different directions. But what I can say is that in the general trends of where you're going to the public eye, you are going in an amazing direction. Your creation, your process, and that which you have created is fantastic to a ton of different people. They wake up and they see your work and everyone loves it, and I sure do. I mean, I'm a major fan of your work, and I have been for quite a while. And I gotta say, I am really glad that you were willing to go ahead and speak up about not only your life, but the work that you've done in the past and the work you're continuing to do and the effort in which you put forth into everything. I know it's difficult at times, but I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing right now. And I'm hoping that this is the path that you're going to continue to go down. And even if it's not, I know that what you are going to do in the future is going to be the right decision. So,
Man, what the hell? You're gonna make me cry. That is not cool. No, I super appreciate every word you're saying. Like, really, it's just this is what I live for, man. I just love to make others feel welcomed, and feel happy with what I do. It makes me feel happy to know, there are so many people that just didn't have a good day or just are struggling with something, and to come into the internet and see like, oh, Max updated their comic, or this artist updated their comic, or they posted something, and you give them a chuckle, or you give them like a little gasp, and that's something that's good. I think that's what makes us a great species as a humankind. So yeah, I live for that, honestly and truthfully. I thank you so much for your words. I mean, I guess we haven't met each other like for like more than 1 week, and you're already like, dude, you're so cool. You're so nice. I love you. So yeah, thank you so much for having me in this interview, and I don't know, believing in what I do, of course.
Of course. And I'd like to thank you for being here and doing what it is you do. And as always, I don't want you to go ahead and think that anything involved with your work should be something that you... I know that imposter syndrome is huge within the artist industry, especially those with like major amounts of followings. But what I must say is that the quality of your work and the effort in which you put forth into it is fantastic, and you deserve the following that you have, and you deserve to have a growing one as well, because I mean, just fucking holy shit, just look at your art. It shows.
No, really, thank you so much. I really appreciate it a lot. It's great to be seen. It's great to be seen. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much for coming on, Max. And I'd like to go ahead and thank you for stopping by. And I'm glad that you said yes. That I know this is a really weird thing. So
no, it's totally fine. Thank you for having me and even considering me.